Welcome to this second video on how to answer Unseen Poetry AQA GCSE English Literature Paper 2, Part 1. So in the last video we looked at how to annotate a poem for this question, and today we're going to focus on how to write it up. So if we reread the poem, this one is First Love by John Clare. I ne'er was struck before that hour, with love so sudden and so sweet. Her face it bloomed like a sweet flower, and stole my heart away complete. My face turned pale, as deadly pale. My legs refused to walk away. And when she looked, what could I ail? My life and all seemed turned to clay. And then my blood rushed to my face, and took my eyesight quite away. The trees and bushes round the place seemed midnight at noonday. I could not see a single thing. Words from my eyes did start. They spoke as chords do from a string, and blood burnt round my heart. Are flowers the winter's choice? Is love's bed always snow? She seemed to hear my silent voice, not love's appeal to know. I never saw so sweet a face, as that I stood before. My heart has left its dwelling place, and can return no more. And our question was, in First Love, how does the poet present the effects of falling in love? 24 marks, spend roughly half an hour, 35 minutes on it. I would recommend. Definitely one you should not be skipping in the exam because it's worth quite a lot of marks. So if we just go over our notes. So first thing I did was look at the semantic field and saw that there's a lot of nature mentioned throughout to describe love. Bloomed, flower, clay, trees, bushes, etc. So if we look at it from a romanticist perspective, nature is omnipotent, nature is sublime. We can apply that to love. Love has overpowered him here. He feels unable to escape it, unable to control it. It is beautiful, like nature, but it's also something to be feared because of the negative effects it has on him. So as part of that, we zoomed in on her face it bloomed like a sweet flower, looked at flower, connotations of beauty, fragility, potentially inevitable breakup in relationship, either because of death, falling out. A flower is stereotypical of first dates, love. Then we looked at and blood burnt round my heart. Close alliteration of blood burnt gives it quite a harsh sound. And we focused on the dynamic verb burnt, connotations of destruction, pain. That implies that the effects of falling in love are not necessarily a positive thing. And we looked at the juxtaposition of burnt with heart and how it juxtaposes violence and love, again potentially linking back to that romanticist interpretation of nature, which is being applied to love here, in terms of love being sublime in the sense that it's all-powerful, omnipotent, and potentially dangerous. And then the third thing I looked at, the final thing, was the structure. So I looked at the rhyme scheme and I looked at the stanza lengths. So they're both regular. The rhyming is all the way through. Makes it sound quite light-hearted. And we've got two potential interpretations of this. The light-hearted sound shows the effects of falling in love. It makes it sound optimistic. But equally, it could mask the potential for pain, which is clearly evident, like underneath our layer of natural imagery here. We could also say that it's quite predictable, and because it's predictable, the regular rhyme scheme, the regular stanzas, maybe love doesn't last. We know it won't last because ultimately someone has to die. Okay, so if we then focus on what I went through last time about the kind of things we do, the kind of thing, the way we set this out. So, first paragraph, semantic field or extended metaphor. I'm going to include one of my zooms in that paragraph. Second paragraph, zooming on a key quote. Third paragraph, on structure. The way we lay our paragraph out is just like how you'd lay it out for any other literature text. Start with the topic sentence, which uses an analytical verb. go on to your quote, in your language techniques. And then go on to your Zoom. Remember, you need word class, quotations, suggest, don't just list the connotations and then stop, and possibly multiple interpretations for those higher marks. That's how you write that paragraph. So we're going to have a go at writing one of them together, and then potentially the structured paragraph. So my analytical verbs are basically ways of saying what the argument is in a poem or in any piece of text. So analytical verbs are things like criticise, expose, teach, warn, condemn, which means to judge something badly, celebrate. Okay, and for my first paragraph, I am going to do it on the semantic field and her face it bloomed like a sweet flower. And I am going to use the analytical verb in the poem. First love. The author, Claire, warns of potential dangers of love by buying hidden facade One thing I'd be very careful of in this is the difference between romantic with a lowercase, which is about love, and romantic with an uppercase, which is about nature. Next thing I'm going to do is link in the semantic field. He uses the semantic field of nature. I'm just going to put a dash and insert maybe 3 of my words to do with the semantic field of nature. Bloomed, trees, flowers. To potentially of note how I've used potentially. I'm being tentative. I'm not saying this is definitely the answer. I'm also not saying that it's probably not. I'm saying it could be one interpretation of the poem. Okay, so now I'm going to go into a little bit more about the romanticism. Due to a romanticist, capital R because it's about nature, viewing nature as sublime, Claire could be arguing that whilst love is beautiful, it is omnipotent, something Okay, now I'm going to go into my main quote. This little bit is kind of like an extra section, just to add to my analysis and my point. So, equally, simile. Never sure, if you're not sure how to insert your quote, add it in using the language technique. Equally the simile, a face, like a sweet flower, suggests that suggests this link. Now I want to zoom. The concrete noun flower has connotations, beauty, traditional gift, on first dates, also of fragility. Reminding the reader flowers of does and the last little bit I'm going to do subsequently, like nature, this could result destruction by human arrogance. I would follow that same structure to do my second paragraph, omitting the bit about the semantic field. But I'm now going to show you how I would do the paragraph on structure in the poem. This one's going to be smaller than the first one because there's going to be less to say about it. So I would always start it with structurally, because it makes a massive hint to the examiner. I am going to talk about structure now. Please note this and give me marks for it. So structurally, poem as a regular rhyme scheme and regular stanzas semicolon. On one hand, this could celebrate. I'm going to use an analytical verb. Light-hearted, fun nature of love, of falling in love, to use the question's wording. But could also demonstrate masking potential pain of predictability of this structure think of lasts either ended by humanity. I'm going to leave that there. I wouldn't do a introduction for this question. You don't need one. In terms of conclusion, if you did one, I'd only do 1 or 2 sentences. Hope that was helpful.